see what these markets have for us. What is going on, everyone? Is the fear justified right now? Gonna have to go live with some good alpha here, controlling the emotions. Probably the most key thing you can do. Let's go. What's going on, family? Hope you're doing well. Reporting to you from the scenes. Solana now trying to break 181, testing a key level. Welcome to the channel. Hope you are doing well. It seems that we're getting all the gifts that we need for this market to bottom. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt all over the place. How bad is the picture? Still assessing. We're still going to find out. But I do have some scenarios that I shared in the Discord. I think those will be valid for most people to pretty much focus on, because the question is out of our hands right now, and it's more about the stock market and what happens in this particular war. Hope you are doing well. If you're in the region, hope you are safe. And of course, I was doing a video earlier on, and it was quite spectacular, to say the least, to be able to record underneath missile interceptors. But guys, hope you can hear me. Let's go with this window here. Let's go here. So I do have an update that is quite relevant. The market, as Jim in the group said today, it could have been worse. But we've been predicting this event for a very long time now. Since really when I started reporting this was back in December. But what are the real opportunities in the long term? When does the cycle bottom? When do we convert the bear market deniers? And how is this event going to impact the crypto process to actually have a final bottom? Because we are about 150 days into the bear market. And Imbelta, great to see you, my sister. It is, honestly, I do have some glass around my office. But it's interesting because obviously you've got the yard out there and you've got stuff going overhead. So you want to stay away as far as possible from windows. But this could be one of the greatest opportunities. And I see many people, obviously, the whole entire market is trying to predict the bottom. And you can't really call the bottom, but you can have a range to have some kind of an idea on how to deploy, guys. So thank you, my sister, for obviously asking me how the family was doing earlier. We're doing absolutely fine, but boy oh boy, have we been kind of vindicated by what we posted last Sunday? Because last Sunday we had two major events. One was the war, the other one was the PPI, of course. And I'm going to break down exactly what this means for inflation. And of course, it is going to be an interesting time. But even throughout wars, Bitcoin behaves in a certain way. The conflicts in the last 15 years have been mostly dominated by Russia, another energy round into Europe. So there could be some similarities there. But what the permutations are, I will absolutely let you know as far as my thinking is concerned. Waterview, what's going on, my brother? Hope you're doing well. Lots of love to you and prayers, of course. Thank you so much. It was quite actually sobering earlier today when We did have a few kind of alarms go off as well. But thank you very much. I mean, that's the only way to live life, I suppose. You can't really be down about things you can't control. You can actually control your attitude, your energy, and how you face challenges, and especially at this, because this obviously concerns energy markets. Energy markets are inflationary. PPI is a forerunner to CPI. That's also inflationary. But the entire market is predicting the bottom. And the thesis that I have for you guys should give you enough macro clarity to be able to execute your strategy without really feeling too bad about these markets. Because like I said yesterday, we are at a $2 trillion market cap. And at a $2 trillion market cap, you have 30 trillion plus in gold, and you've got stock market S&P, which is around 60 trillion. So we are nothing in the grand scheme of things. So if anybody thinks this speculative, highly volatile market is not going to be back, I think you are mistaken. But every bear market needs a deeper trigger. We're getting some of the greatest opportunities to be able to buy and DCA into these markets for sure. Having said that, the one thing I would advise for everyone to get rid of is flipping bullish or bearish, because really what you want is scoop the lows, and you are getting some of the lows. I mean, I did a on-chain analysis yesterday on Aether, and it was shocking. I mean, besides from the bots trading, the accumulation for or to be able to become a smart wallet is basically now or near these times in the next kind of few weeks, months, days, however long that is going to be the stretch of this bear market. So you've got to take it with that spirit. But can we come down lower? Potentially. I mean, like Jim said in the Discord, this was a better than expected dip, considering how awful it would have been, especially on a weekend. But with the likes of Jane Street and perhaps maybe Binance under scrutiny, the real fireworks will start when the stock market opens. And so I'll give you some permutations. I'll give you 3 scenarios that I talked about. And this was kind of an interesting post. By the way, big up to my brother and my brothers and sisters everywhere in the world who's been sending me messages. And more importantly, thank you from the bottom of my heart, because these concerns, obviously, when you look at where we are geographic, you know, we're separated by 14 nautical miles at the narrowest point. So we are in a very close proximity to the action, but markets don't wait for no one. And what we're clearly seeing is liquidity is already piling up on the 3-day. Now, how does this look over the week? Because sometimes when we look at liquidity, and again, people like Coinbase, Binance, they've all lost major money. And you can see here, we've taken some liquidity here, but the upside is what I'm after. So this is the weekly. And to the downside, of course, we have above 60,000. And then if we absolutely zoom out, which is what you need to do, this is the 2-week scenario of the market. Liquidity is absolutely piling up above 70,000. And if we look at the monthly, because either way, they will use all of these events to take us to a direction. So what we've had this week, we've had this, that is inflationary. Then we've had the war today, and the war represents a different kind of inflation in energy, and it's probably it's good for defense stocks. It's good for energy markets, but risk assets, obviously, flight to gold. We've been sharing the gold chart for a bit. So what's going to happen here is going to be largely dictated by 3 outcomes or 3 scenarios. Okay, I really want you to understand not to fear these types of events, because these are events in markets that come and go ultimately, but they do leave a footprint in opportunities. So what are the scenarios? Again, I go back to Jim's words, better than expected initial chop, but what will the market represent on Monday? So here's what I'm thinking. Only direct scenario that involves the Straits of Hormuz goes all the way back to the 1990 Gulf War, for those of us that remember. Don't remember, child grown up, giveaway there. But, markets are pumping slightly. I mean, we're moving up slightly right now. Solana moving up to 182 or just under. So yeah, not a bad little response here. But it took 71 days for the markets to bottom out back in 1990, and then a further 189 days, or almost half a year, for a recovery. So the three major scenarios that I see with this particular event are: one, negotiations have obviously been in a deadlock. Trump has obviously warned them on Friday. We knew something was going to happen, so they had to do an early strike on Monday morning. And as a result, we saw this surprise response from Iran, basically firing missiles randomly and at will across the entire region. And then obviously most were intercepted, but the intent was crystal clear. The conflict could be spreading regionally, and we don't want that. Trump came out and said, look, we're going to wipe out your nuclear program, cripple your Navy, and he was quite strong. One statement that he said was, we are also willing to take casualties, which was quite concerning, to be honest, because that kind of gave me the idea that it wasn't a, just hit and, leave like the 12-day war. Could there be something else? So what do I expect? For markets, the signal starts a broader campaign from what Trump has said, and volatility in oil is surging. Bitcoin, of course, is tanking. Stocks are set to gap lower at open. Okay, it's going to be market manipulations over the weekend to either side, but I'm looking to see what the stock market does, because that's really going to be our main driver, or the main kind of catalyst for any further Bitcoin correction. So briefly, the futures when futures reopen, expect the VIX to absolutely explode. And we could potentially see, 1,000-point swing in the Dow, potentially. We can't rule that out. Higher oil prices could reignite inflation fears, drive to safe havens like gold. Gold has already been anticipating this throughout the entire week. So when Bitcoin went up 6% the other day, everybody was like, oh my goodness, the bull market is back. I was like, guys, chill out. This is obviously going to take out. This is going all the way to the new Fed chair, because the data, inflation, and all of the other things that we have. We don't have any rate cuts. Possibly, March, you can rule it out totally. April, definitely not. And then, of course, June is when he really makes that decision. But whether he's going to cut or not, that would remain to be seen. But all of these events, or some of these events, are highly inflationary. Now, so scenario number one, that this was it, and they obviously agreed pre-targets, like we saw last time. The Americans evacuated their bases. Iran got a little victory parade, and they call it a day. Good. And the tension could be over. Scenario number two is that, so the quick resolution is both sides exchange blows, which they have done. They both declare victories and they de-escalate. Tension cools fast. And then the markets tend to bounce swiftly after a little drop, maybe on Monday. This is what happened in the flare out of the 12-day war. Escalation is the second option, which is obviously more nations pile in with oil infrastructure, shipping lanes, and key targets getting hit. And this prolongs the chaos and, of course, deepens the stock market pullback, meaning crypto also comes along with it. And then, of course, the nuclear option or the worst case scenario is the Straits disruption. Iran blocks or attacks the Straits of Hormuz. They mine it and they cut off 25% of the world's oil supplies. And that could trigger a full-blown bear market across the board with widespread economic fallout. So what we want is a quick resolution. The event has happened. Both sides are happy with what they've done, and they call it quits. Now, the bottom line here for me is if oil skyrockets, inflation then becomes another key focus. The yields jump, liquidity dries up, and of course, risk assets get hammered further. And of course, history shows that wars can fade, but these, if there's any echoes of 1990 in this part of the world, then that is not going to be nice. So that would be, what do we brace for in the worst case scenario? For me, the worst case scenario would be a 15 to 20% correction in the stock market. And it takes multiple months to grind. But either way, we've got to be prepared because these are, like I said, we expect the best prices and maybe we'll get to fill some of those October candles. So that's my, Bitcoin now for me to the downside, 60K to the upside, where we are seeing liquidation on the long term. It's building up above, and we know that. So that's kind of my quick introduction on where I see things could go. Scenario number one, call it quits, arrange some kind of exchange of empty, I don't know, maybe you strike this, we strike that, and we call it quits, just like we saw in the 12-day war. Scenario number two, regional actors get involved and other countries go to their defenses. Scenario number three, the Strait closes, and of course, we don't want that because that's oil prices will go probably above $100. So now we know these permutations. What am I looking to the downside? Of course, it's the $60,000 level. That is going to be quite key. But maximum bottom for me, for Bitcoin this cycle anyway, or the bear market, would possibly be around that $48,000 to $50,000 level, right? Maximum. I can't see any lower than that. And then to the upside, of course, we could be, because we do have these other macro pressures, take up liquidity, build believe, and then, of course, get back into, grind it out for the remainder of the bear market. So my expectation is Q2, maybe the start of the, end of the, kind of we start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But Q3, Q4, 2026 would probably be in alignment with traditional bear market theories. So here's what we are. Some are calling it a bull flag. But what I would say is, if I look at BTC USD here, this is always on the cards in terms of a dip. But I did say that previous bear market tops acted as fairly decent base support for Bitcoin in the past. So I don't think we'll deviate way too much from this green line here. But if you look at historically, 2017, 2021, and of course, 2017 high, maybe very close to 2021 base, and 2021 high is right about the base. If we drop even slightly further, it still kind of works out how these, if you look at these golden lines here, how these bear markets tend to work. But 2017, 371 days of a bear market to this candle, weekly candle here, December 2018. You could actually go even slightly more and drag this out a little bit, right? So we could potentially see, of course, all of this was the bottom. That's about 400 days. But pretty much, I mean, that would be in line with these bottoms here. Then 2021, bear market peak to trough. Again, exactly the same thing. We could drag it out a little bit, 400 days or thereabouts. So right now, if we look at today to where we are, about 150 days. And if we drag this out a little bit more to do a similar average to previous bear markets, I mean, this is where we are right now. So it's 154 days to be exact. But if we align with this kind of dip and sideways motion, because the market will be sideways, takes us to an average of, say, 390 to 400 days. Are we looking at October 2026? That will be a very good estimate of where these bear markets bottom and where the bases lie from their previous tops. So that's where we are today. So as far as altcoins are concerned, I mean, look at the prices, right? So let me just refresh this. We have the market right now. I mean, I did a video about this. The logic here, the amount of money that they've raised and everything else. And you can go across the board. I mean, no specific cryptocurrency here, but that's just an example. We're starting to see the 90 plus, whatever you see 90% plus crashes from the all-time highs with a fear and greed index. That's this really persistent. That's giving you an opportunity. So rather than time the bottom, ultimately, because it's not easy to do that, you can actually use these indicators as absolute science, because the market's not going to be greedy anytime soon. But if it did, then these are historically low readings of the fear and greed index. No different from FTX. I mean, we've beaten that and we went all the way to 5. So yeah, so I hope you like that. That is, what I'm saying. My message here is fear not, because there are opportunities. And of course, market right now, in the short term, let's look at the 4 hours. Predominantly, it's long. So 68% long on some exchanges. Okay. So they are obviously playing this game. And of course, the Bitcoin market cap, the total market cap, is also something that we need to watch very, very carefully. And you can see here we are just in this gray zone here of the Bitcoin rainbow chart. So yeah, it's about to enter. I mean, it is at fire sale almost. So we need to be able to buy at these levels historically, but you can see here there's probably a bit more room to the downside. So we still don't have that fire sale that we did back in October for a very short period of time. All rightio. So that's just the way the market is looking right now. What else can we look at? I mean, liquidations obviously have been mostly longs. And then if we look at some of our favorite coins, still believe that some of our, this is Tau. I still believe some of our low predictions could be in target. We were about to potentially, we're testing this and we're bouncing off here. So I really want to see perhaps maybe a breakdown here to accumulate Tau and start to DCA properly into these markets. 45,000 Bitcoin I'm seeing. Cave is in the building as well. I did expect that dip, Steve said. Of course, maybe dip further next week. Potentially, yeah. I mean, this is kind of the thesis that these are some of the rumblings that we're starting to see in the market. Although, to be honest, I mean, some of the cryptocurrencies are bouncing relatively okay, especially Solana, because Solana went to $77. But I'm expecting the stock market to potentially see more reaction there. Bro said, why is Yeah. Yo, the attack on Bahrain. I mean, I'm sure people have died in that. I'm sure probably people have seen the missiles going in to the building. It was mad. That was absolute mayhem. But yeah, I mean, listen, hotel residents were attacked by mistake. I mean, look, war is dirty, right? But to attack the UAE and Bahrain and Qatar, it just shows you that these guys have no regard for anything. Yes, you could argue their beef is with the Americans, and the Americans have bases in the region. But relatively, I mean, listen, the region has a massive Iranian community. They are integral to. They are an integral part of the everyday life here. Great people with history, with culture, with tradition. I mean, can you imagine if Iran opens up with freedom and, people are living happy, tourism industry. I mean, I'm sure they have some of the best UNESCO sites globally. But these fools in charge right now, they're just lashing out at everyone. I mean, think about trying to attack peaceful countries that didn't really have nothing to do and then killing civilians. So, yeah, they're effed up, man. We did have a brother in our community from Iran. I hope he's doing well. I hope he's doing very well. I'm really concerned about him. I haven't seen him on the channel for a while, especially in the last kind of few days. So yeah, Mehran, if you're watching, bro, all our thoughts, love and prayers go out to you. I mean, I remember we were talking about how to get money out of there to obviously come and put the family in the UAE and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a definite it's a definite concern. Top three convictions are very easy for me. The next Solana will be Sui, in my opinion. So Sui, Casper, and Tau have been. I mean, they kind of cover the ballparks of what I want to achieve in terms of the financial aspect of things. But I think it's those three would be quite amazing to accumulate some more. Yo, Cave, hope you're doing well, bro. Apologies, I didn't even get back to you on that DM, man. I've been sheltering from the Patriots. Peace and love to you too, my brother. World War III, I don't think so. I think the world is far away right now. I know there's genuine fears. For me, the most dangerous conflict globally is the war in Ukraine, right? Because if you look at military doctrine in general, the war in the Ukraine violates a very important nuclear treaty. Okay, for those of you who know, that war is the only war that could potentially lead us into a catastrophe, because Russia has been, obviously, the moment you cross into Russian borders, despite what they've done to Ukraine, there is a nuclear deterrence that gets activated, which is Russia is allowed to use tactical nuclear weapons. And it's a miracle nothing has happened. It's a miracle that we don't see further damage of the Chernobyl reactor. But for me, that still remains the world's most dangerous conflict, because you've got NATO countries, you've got Russia, and it's a miracle that they've contained that situation fairly. I mean, not well, because it's obviously not a great conflict to start with, but that could be a trigger for potentially a global war. The situation with Iran right now is, if China or Chinese buy a barrel of Iranian oil is $40 for the Chinese, right? They've just lost the heavy crude at Venezuela. So logic has it that, of course, the Chinese might be providing intelligence, they might be providing some kind of a support to the Iranians. We know the Russians were. There were Antonov aircraft coming in, landing from Russia. We don't know whether those have S-400s, S-300s missile defense systems. But for me, it will only become a crazy conflict if other world powers get dragged into it. And the two to watch there are, I think Russia is out of the picture with the situation in Ukraine. And the Chinese don't really have an offensive foreign policy. China has never attacked or they don't get involved in global wars, although that could change in Taiwan. That's a very, very good question, Peter. But I just feel like it's well away from where that needs to be. It's well away from where it needs to be right now. But you never know. You never know. I mean, potentially, could these things one day? All I know is man is forever flawed in these conflicts that come around every 20 years in a major way globally. BTC to 45. I've got 48 and with good kind of conviction, because 48 was a major level in 2023. If you remember, it's where the ETFs kicked off. And for me, it would be a wick. So general consensus is there's a reason I've got this green bar here. And this green bar for me represents the moment we kind of break this potential $59,000 level, we could potentially see a cascade all the way down to kind of $48,000. So this would be kind of like my bear market range, because historically, if you zoom back into the chart, you'd see that level being pretty significant, especially from a floor standpoint. This is a very, very significant level here, where we've had major moves blast off in the past. Of course, that would mean breaking down the current support that we've had or we have around this level where we're at. Wars generate money, absolutely, bro. And I would expect to see huge defense stocks surging absolutely in an insane way. You know, let me check something else. Let's have a look what's going on here. It's printed a short-term buy trade, 63,000. And but I do agree with you in terms of what could potentially happen there. And let's see, we had that buy signal here. So yeah, we'll have a look at the momentum, especially with these altcoins now. But I think overall we should be able to weather this storm. Yeah, big facts. Supposedly it wasn't an accident. They sent a drone. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's there to unalive people, right? Both ways. Yeah, big facts. I agree with you. Now, people will always overhype. So if you look at the only comparison apart from the Russia's invasion of the Ukraine, the only other kind of previous conflict in the region that we had was the Gulf War with Saddam. 45, yep. 45, 48. EU wants that Ukraine war keeps going. Yeah, they won. I mean, the EU have been utterly poor when it comes to managing that conflict. I think they have been absolutely disgraceful, because that is potentially, that could wipe out humanity. Imagine, look, for all his flaws, that guy's destroyed Ukraine, but he's not used a tactical nuclear weapon, which would have been the start of these absolute major tensions, right? And it just goes back. It just goes to show you, I mean, how geopolitics changes, how the world changes, and how opportunities are made every so often. A new coalition with the US and Russia, China. I mean, look, Russia, first of all, if we talk about de-dollarization, for example, where a lot of people are saying the US dollar is going to end its global dominance as a reserve currency, anybody who believes that is just listening to the hype. Chinese, China holds a good amount of US dollar, despite the fact that they are saying, look, countries like Malaysia or the Asian trading bloc are saying that they want to have their own. I think it's just negotiation tactics. The dollar is so dominant that I don't really see the dollar going anywhere anytime soon. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that new coalition, I mean, if China, the US, and these, Russia, US and Russia anyway are pretty close these days, despite the fact that obviously the other party believes that we should be fighting. We should be fighting Russia. 3x break even on my hold portfolio. I'm holding the coins with conviction, and so I'll only. Okay. I believe Tau Ondo. Yes. So you've asked me for a 3, but Ondo looks absolutely fundamental, right? If you look at what's going on in the future of the RWA sector, it's very hard to push it past what those guys are doing with Wall Street. And in my opinion, as more, I mean, they expect to have 5 trillion tokenized by 2030. Not Ondo, but in terms of the RWA, on the RWA scene, right? So Ondo's a great, it's at a great level, but we've got to break this stubborn level or this range that Ondo has been in. And we mark this perfectly because I want everyone to DCA heavily if we get below this level. Having said that, if we put this on a slightly bigger time frame, you get to see the picture here quite clearly. So from a support perspective, Ondo is on a 760, 760 plus. Let's drag this a bit more. So 770-day trend line, right? Which has been support from 2024. And then we wick to this. We have finally closed the October wick. So the October wick is no more valid. But if you zoom out and you look at Ondo, it's very hard not to make the kind of money you want to make in crypto with a fundamental project like this long term. And this is as low, or how should I put it? I mean, people are looking for an additional discount, right? If we break 20 cents, I mean, how low do we go? I can see, I can see another to 18 cents, break that. Well, I can see another 20% realistically to grab some more. But really, I mean, that would be a fight over. I mean, if it dips below 20 cents, again, 22 cents is probably the level. But, we had 18 cents back in, when did we have 18? Was it April? October, we came all the way down to 24, 25. So yeah, it's within that region, but that is a solid pick. You've got SUI with all of these institutional ETFs. That's a giveaway, and even more so in terms of the ecosystem. and what's happening with the ecosystem. You've got Tau with the subnets that are absolutely pumping out real world utility, completely decentralized. So that could be a great strategy there. But yeah, cycle low 45 to 48. I think we are definitely good to go there. But I think you will 3x your portfolio, and you'll probably 10x it if the prices that we're looking for from here become available. Because I was showing really small buys. I bought 20,000 Casper for $500. You know, I bought 100,000 ATH for $500. You know, 100,000, like ridiculous value right now in the market. The one thing I would say is, while crypto remains risky, when you consider the total market cap, we're absolutely nothing. Total market cap is pittance, right? Like, let me just remove this. The question becomes, where does it flow to? And obviously, let me just take this out of the way. You can see that we are testing a very key trend line with the total market cap, but we're basically at 2.2 trillion. Do we bottom out at 1.6 trillion, perhaps, for the total market cap? Yeah, it's definitely on a discount level, even as it is. I bought a few weeks ago, if you remember, when we hit 160, I started to DCA, and I left those DCA levels on the Tau chart. And I obviously want to try and get to about 200 plus by the end of this bear market. Virtuals is, you know what? It's actually been quite strong today. I did look at virtuals. 62 it was. Because AI agent Meta is going to run the next time these markets come round for us. I honestly wouldn't even, I mean, look, support here. I'd also look at the market cap chart, right? So a lot of people don't actually look at the market cap here, but this tells you how crazy it's sub $500 million. So in a bear market, it's always wise to switch to a market cap mode. Best price for Tau would be $120 facts. I mean, if we hold above $100, but we still get that discount, $1,200 gets you a life-changing amount of Tau. That's why holding on to cash and just sprinkling it. You know, I bought 5 there. I would buy another, maybe 10, 15 there. And then anything that the market throws at a generational level, I will put the launch money in there. That's just how it goes. But the worst of enemies is ourselves, because we tend to expect, I mean, this is again Toshi. This is, you know, hardly any value. It is now at a level where we would have probably won, you know, we probably had this level almost in April. We had April 7th was the low here. And now we've beaten that. Now, many people were kicking themselves if they would have bought Toshi. I mean, the jump here was pretty decent. I think Coinbase will rig it. But between that and the September high, it did 5x. So don't be surprised if some of these charts, you know, come a little lower. And I'm not saying, I'm not looking at Toshi alone. I'm looking at virtuals here. April 7th low, virtual top in here in the summer pump. In fact, it actually topped in May. 552%. in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. So it's crazy how these markets give you back. Like, as long as you're bidding here, it is incredible how fast certain narratives can move. And the AI narrative with OpenClaw and Claude Code and friggin' OpenAI now deploying or hiring the creator and releasing AI agents through their platform. Each one of us will have a virtual self that trades for them, as long as the only thing is going to be, and I've been warning people now, is learning the skill to be able to run these AI models. Because it's not easy, you know. You get the model. Some people are buying the Mac Minis, setting it all up. After 2 days, you lose interest because the agent makes a mistake. But if it's from a structured, pay monthly, fully secured LLM provider like OpenAI, and they tell you we're going to give you a free OpenClaw with your ChatGPT subscription, and then you go and deploy the right documents to be able to give it the right training, the right access to the right charts, and of course connect it to maybe a Hyperliquid or something, and you give it, say, $100 to start testing out, I think you will make crazy money on the side as well. So that's not something we should discount. There's going to be traders markets, and of course swing trades and long-term investment. Boom. So yeah, virtuals, I think is a superb project. The updates here, let's have a look at their X page. Get your agent paid. Virtuals will fund the payback. So AI agent reputation registry standard on chain, agents review. This is all pretty bullish stuff, by the way. In a bull market, all of these developments would be significantly more valuable. But in a bear market, no matter what the announcement is, nothing really changes because there's no liquidity in the market, right? Interesting observation as well today. The Fed TGA account is now, it went down from $1 trillion, right, to 800 billion. Ever so slightly, but you know, Tesco's, every little helps. This is going to be inversely, you know, Bitcoin's going to be inversely correlated to this. So when this drops somewhere here, like these pumps that we've had in the market, we drop this and empty this account, there's going to be more liquidity in the market. Very simple way to look at, very helpful chart to always analyze, because the more liquidity tightens, the less likely we are to see any kind of impact or of price into risk assets. But yeah, virtuals, Tau, wasn't Tau listed on, Tau had a new listing as well. Say, somebody was asking me about Say today, and whether the Giga, by the way, this is the market cap chart. So it's a completely different chart to the price, right? So we still have price coming down to this maybe $100 level, but Grayscale are going to push this one hard. So you have the subnets and the miner networks. Let's just hear a bit of this. Let's go to the liquid town. So this is kind of key. You know, he goes in this presentation. He goes absolutely heavy into explaining Bitcoin and what the key connection is with BitTensor Tau, right? So Bitcoin of AI, you hear that term used loosely all the time, and this is a brilliant presentation. You could watch this, and of course, there's a lot of takeaways there because in a bear market, what you want to do is to at least do a bit of work and get your knowledge. Because if you're going to put money into something, there's two things. There's speculative assets. They're not for bear markets. And for most people that hold the speculative assets, you know, including myself, 90%, 99% of crypto is speculative. I showed you that Toshi chart or that virtuals chart that when in 6 weeks from April to May or end of May, it did 550%. Right? So that's quite key. So that's how you buy those low charts. The price is dead. There's no liquidity in the market. There's no speculation. And then you buy your kind of, you know, your SUIs, your TAUs, your virtuals, because, you know, they solve a problem. I mean, SUI's problem solving can be looked at through the ecosystem. For example, Walrus, right? It's a big giant of nothing right now. But if you look at their tech stack, Walrus is the security base of their tech stacks for AI agents infrastructure. I'm not saying you go and buy that now because obviously, you know, I bought some the other day, but you don't have to buy that now. But my point is this: we know they're going to rotate heavy into stuff like SUI because of ETFs, and for that reason, you start to realize, oh, okay, maybe I could be an owner of the next Solana, right? You've got Casper. Casper has no marketing, but what Casper has is something that most others don't in the proof of work space. Then you've got Tau, and then someone will come and tell you, oh, it's the Bitcoin of AI. What do you mean? It is fundamentally a strong project. So big up to my brother from Amsterdam. It is absolutely wonderful to see you, Ramadan Kareem. And then Bezel said that Mexico got banned in India to a list of reasons. Reasons were security concerns, huge token manipulations. Manipulation, yes, I agree with you. What exchanges do I prefer? I'm gonna go and investigate another exchange, perhaps next week. And I do like the exchange OKX. I think they have the infrastructure, especially for my personal requirements here because you basically get them certified with a bank. You know, I still use Mexi for my degen stuff, even though, look, Mexi has a great, simple to understand interface, especially like trading and stuff like that. You know, I always find, you know, KuCoin's probably the worst in terms of their interface. BitGet's not bad. BitGet's actually not bad at all if you're trading or if you're buying crypto. And then, of course, there's a bunch of US exchanges that you could look at. But I'm definitely going to perhaps maybe go and check out OKX next, because I think it's they have very good infrastructure and they do have their own wallet for degen stuff. My brother, salam to you too. Most of the day I'm inactive because of Ramadan, by the way. Yes, we'll do TA on SUI. In fact, we will look at the market cap, we will look at the Binance chart, and we will look at the SUI standard Coinbase, Mexi, OKX, the normal chart, because all three charts tell a different story. Thoughts on Marvia are highly speculative, highly risky, but at these levels, I mean, I have it sitting there and hopefully I will do 1000x on it. If not, if it goes to zero, I will not cry. Thoughts on ICP and what they're doing with cloud engines on board in Switzerland and Pakistan. Thank you for that question, because ICP is often overlooked because of the connections to SPF. But I will take a look. From a pricing standpoint, I don't think it will ever go near what it did when it was well manipulated. I think that was the cycle for it. But what is the impact of AI agents as well in the kind of supercomputer narrative? But well worth discussing. I haven't got the latest scoop, so I couldn't answer what they're doing with Switzerland and Pakistan. Perhaps I'll look into that and answer that for you. Thoughts on Near? I love Near Protocol. I think Near Protocol is a level below Tau, or levels below Tau, because there are projects in the Tau subnet that compete with Near Protocol. But it would be my second because of many reasons. One, because of the whale concentration, perhaps, and the ability to. It's done nothing. They've improved their very good tokenomics, by the way, because it's been around for a while, and the fact that Near has a decent staking for the first time ever, and of course the Zcash element. So a few things that would absolutely combine to make Near Protocol do very well. But I am watching that asset, and I think scooping that around 54 cents, which was a generational buy that I had back in 2023, would be incredible. But below $1, I think it's decent. Yeah, Hype is on my short list for projects to watch. We had a bit of a scare with the Zach XBT. People were name dropping Hype as, in the end, he came out with Axiom in his investigation. But I think Hyperliquid only gets bigger. But what we really need right now is the price to significantly fall below $20. $15, $16, sub $10. That would be generational. If you have time, can we have a small chat about Tau and Casper and how they benefit the world and why they are different? So brilliant. So Casper is a technology in itself. So it is the fastest proof of work cryptocurrency with a visionary kind of guy who's been around the Ethereum. In fact, Vitalik and the white paper references Jonathan Sompolinsky. So Casper has and it's got a heavy retail concentration, is fair launched. I think you can do really ridiculous amount of DeFi on it on a proof of work. So it's a it's a trilemma, it's a trilemma solver. Bitensor Tau is a good subject as well. And I can give you loads of other reasons as to why I think when you look at outside of Bitcoin, there is a massive space for proof of work cryptocurrencies in their traditional layer one sense to be able to fill the need that a good, highly distributed potential commodity, if we're thinking of the Clarity Act, that it can have. Of course, it has its flaws, risks, and beyond 20 cents, we've not really seen any kind of any kind of what I call any kind of narrative that took Casper back to where he needed to go, which is towards the 50 cent, then the $1 mark. On the other hand, Tau, so let me just run this and then you understand a little bit more about Tau. Oh, sorry, guys, you can't hear this, right? Let me. No audio at all, right? Okay, cool. Why can't I share this audio? Let me just stop sharing for a minute. Let's go back to share screen.
Here, but I can't show it right now. I should have taken a video before.
You can't
to
you
show
can't hear
how
any of
over
this.
time we basically
so basically
we cycle and we churn out some sort of curve. The value chain, anything to you guys, but the idea is very where you can create this new type of machine learning. It's basically it's like a torch. It's like
amazing,
a language
for
creating incentive computing.
So the bit
it's a language. Machine learning algorithm or an optimization algorithm, genetic or neural network or RL reinforcement.
So basically, he talks about Bitcoin. So when you hear Bitcoin or Tau is the new Bitcoin of AI, or it's the AI of Bitcoin of AI, he explains it very, very well here. Bit technical, but I think most people will understand something like this.
It's very similar in structure to these things, but it's applied to creating this thing that's called it's a digital commodity. Now, why is it so powerful? Why does this work so well? So Bitcoin is the first ever example of this in nature. We've never really produced anything like this. There's no network that can compete and scale to Bitcoin. But let's talk about some of the qualities that this type of optimization has. This type of qualities that Bitcoin has. One of the nice qualities is that Bitcoin is borderless. Doesn't matter where you are. You can mine Bitcoin with your laptop. Allows you to get access to resources in every country on Earth. That's pretty cool. It's continuous. It doesn't have a start or a stop time, and doesn't close on weekends. It's not like seminars or seasons in a school or the U.S. stock market that closes on weekends, or there's a league and there's a season for the league. It's 24/7. It's all the time. It's very, very competitive, and it's always optimizing itself. It's fully autonomous. It's permissionless, means you don't have to ask anybody to participate in the system. It simply draws as much electricity from the grid as it can. A normal corporation can't achieve that form of efficiency because it needs to have an HR department. It needs to see who you are. There's going to be bias. Where did you go to school? Bitcoin doesn't care that you guys went to the best university in the world. Sorry. Bitcoin does not care. It just cares if you can produce hashes, and that's what makes it so efficient. And then the final point is that it's a pure market for something. If you can produce more hashes, you get paid for those hashes, and it allows you to allocate a lot of computing power to the network and know exactly what your return is going to be. And so Bitcoin is a really effective market in the sense that it can produce these hashes with efficiency. And I just want to say that it's this new type of computing, which I'm going to label incentive computer. Bitcoin is just like how machine learning is a type of computing, and reinforcement learning is a type of learning, and genetic programming is a type of computing. Incentive computing is also a type of computing that we should study, and we should think about. How can we do it properly? How can we do it generally, actually? Because we don't want to produce hashes, we want to produce anything. Hashes in Bitcoin are useless. But what if we could take the same premise and we could apply it to storing files, generating compute, or doing machine learning itself? What if we could apply the same premise that created the largest supercomputer in the world? What if we could apply that same premise to, hey, training machine learning models, for instance? Or really anything, actually. So what's the general incentive computer? We did this. We basically asked that question, and we broke apart the way in which Bitcoin works. The miners produce hashes, the validators check the hashes, the network emits to miners. We built the general version of this. Miners do any work, validators check any work, and the network mints a digital currency to those miners. We called that thing called we called it BitTensor, and fundamentally it's just it's a platform where you can create this new type of machine learning. It's basically it's like a torch. It's like a language for creating incentive computing. It's a language. So how does this work? It looks a little bit like this. That probably doesn't mean anything to you guys, but the idea is very simple, very similar to Bitcoin. You register a miner that's going to be associated with a cryptographic key, and then you do some work. You do some work which is consumed by the validators, the people that check your work. They check your work according to some rules that are predefined, and then the results are given to the chain, and the chain reaches agreement on which of the miners have done well. So like this is a little bit what that looks like. When we, the top here, these are all miners. Each one of the green dots is a miner. And they're providing something of value to the network. Maybe it's storage or compute, for instance. The validators are checking how much they're bringing to the network. And this is their ranking. This is how well they perform. So every mechanism on the network of BitTensor has some sort of curve. Hey, these guys are doing better than these guys. It ranks them and then pays them out based on where they are on the curve. And there's a video here, but I can't show it right now. I should have taken a video before to show how over time we basically cycle and we churn out the bad miners and replace them with new miners. It's an adaptive system. It's a genetic algorithm or something like a reinforcement learning algorithm. Maybe you even think of it as a machine learning gradient descent problem. There's a lot of different ways or similarities to think about it as an optimization problem, but over top of any general productivity on behalf of miners. So let's take that apart. What's an example? So this is a company. It's also a network on BitTensor, and their focus is to mine coding intelligence. Bitcoin for being good at programming with cursor, basically, right? So intelligence models. They're looking for the people to mine improvement upon benchmarks that are valuable to agents that code. So basically, it looks like this. The miners are agents. They produce agents. Those agents are evaluated on a benchmark. And then the reward is paid to them in some token, digital token. This is the performance of that mechanism, that optimization problem, over a 3-month period. This is the performance on SweBench. This is the number of agents that are currently being evaluated. And here, this is the performance of the agent, the best agent on the network over this 3 or so month period of time. As you can see, the mechanism didn't define the solution to the agent. They simply encoded the incentives under which the agents could be evolved. Let me say that again. We did not make a machine learning agent. We simply defined the incentives under which those AI agents could be evolved. And in a short period of time, we beat the best in the world. So this is the agents that came out of this network are better than Claude, OpenAI, any model that is closed source or open source at doing coding challenges. Who did it? We don't know. Somebody in some random person in the world wrote a 7,000-line piece of code, 7,000-line AI agent that was capable of embedding files, grepping files, applying edits using Git to improve the performance on SweBench. It really clicked, and this is like this for me is very similar to what it felt like in 2012 when we were able to get neural networks to finally work, and we saw their performance, their ability to crush benchmarks in a way that had not been done before. This is an AI lab without any engineers. This is an AI lab that doesn't define any specific problem, doesn't define the way in which problems are solved, but in fact, solely defines the incentive. So this is an ongoing project, by the way. If you're interested, if this is something that you'd be interested in contributing to, you don't need to ask me any questions. It's an open network. It's a permissionless network. We have some ex-miners in the crowd. Hey, Nick. And the reward is quite substantial because what we do as an
It's a pretty fascinating. What I'll do is I'll share this with you in the chat, but please put some time in it. It's really fascinating because everybody, you know, everyone's talking about Claude Code and of course OpenClaw and everything else. But one of the biggest use cases for blockchain technology is AI. Sirens are going off again. Damn. Hassan in the building. And of course, my brother wanted to know, Sui, Bitcoin just took 66,000 and some change, which is pretty good. Let's go to the short term. Sorry, before I look at let's have a look at the 12-hour chart here, because clearly the price is kind of taking. Maybe we'll go as far as 67, maybe test 68. But right now, decent volume on the hour. This is what they're going to do. They're going to take liquidity and then potentially take advantage before Monday's slam dunk. But don't know if anyone knows any particular news that's just come out. Chart looks okay. It's pretty decent wick there. But yeah, that got eaten up from 63 all the way to 66 and some change. Of course, need to get back up. Anyway, let's continue with, before I depart. So Sui. So a couple of different ways of looking at Sui. One is the market cap. So the market cap here is quite interesting. So we've got a trend here from 1.7 billion, and we've respected that at 3 billion, and we 3.23 billion. So if I share this instead, you could see here, this is the Sui market cap chart. So it is pretty low, but it's also on a very, very important trend line. So you can't ignore the market cap 100. You cannot. I mean, that is, you've got some, bullish scenarios that is happening for SUI. But when you look at the price, you also realize that SUI's trend line or this support trend goes all the way back to, it's a 861 day from October 9th, 2023. We had a touch 1, touch 2. Let's make it a little bit more clear here. So we've had a touch 1 here, of course. And then we've had a second touch over here. This is like August low 2024. And then, of course, we had 3 touches over here. Now, that's quite significant because if SUI is to break this level, first of all, it's nearly 900 days since it broke that trend. Or sorry, since that trend was actively created there, supported it more than 6 times. And then you've got the Binance futures chart. Now, this Binance futures chart is obviously taking the mick because this was the October candle, and it's only Binance that has this candle here. No other exchange has a candle at 57 cents. So there is liquidity trapped here at 57 cents. So would we go there? I mean, we came very close to it, but considering it's a Binance chart, I'm not ruling anything out. So, where I would buy SUI right now, first of all, this trend line, if it breaks, it would be a major, major buying opportunity. And the price in terms of, look, we've always wanted this below $1. I know people that would have killed for this below $1, like significantly. They would have been like, I want to be all in on SUI. And I remember the first buy that we've made with high level of conviction. I remember me and Cave actually buying a decent chunk, a significant amount of SUI, of course, along with the community at 72 cents. At the time, it looked like an incredible investment and it went up significantly. So I would say, do not ignore this trend. Even if we come down a little bit here, if it breaks 80 cents, then it's going to be quite significant buy opportunities. Around these prices, I think small DCA buys are okay. If Binance then manipulate the market and they send us into their crazy 57 range, I wouldn't, in a bottom of a bear market, I think this will get taken out. So that's where I am. One, market cap trend has to break because it's a key support. And we've had 3 decent touches. And every time we touch this level, we bounce from it. And of course, after that, we need to see all eyes and attention should be on the Binance chart. And the Binance chart gives you October's wick at $57. 57 cents. Okay. So let's just get rid of these. Current level to 57 cents. I mean, what you would be spreading buys for is really from now until that level. You could have multiple buy opportunities, but that is a total of 30% further reduction for the price of SUI. So hopefully we get an opportunity to buy this closer to 50 cents than where it is. But if I bought some now for around 80 cents, 82 cents, I wouldn't be bothered because it would be stagger. Maybe you buy, 1,000 here, 500 there, whatever. And then you start building your bag downwards. I think that's probably the best way to do it rather than timing the market. Bro said, I reside in the EU. My father and sister are in Bahrain and I want cash out the call. Wow. By sending it into their exchange, cash out, or do they need proof? Well, so I want to cash out that. Okay, brilliant question. Can you withdraw just by sending crypto into the region? Yes, but you can trigger tax events at a certain level of the local currency, right? So what you probably need to do is to figure out and I can give you some tips. First of all, their wallet, their residents anyway, they've got their IDs and everything. I think Bahrain is fairly crypto friendly, like Dubai, but probably Dubai is going to be your best bet, just because there's a lot of OTC desks and helpful infrastructure around crypto. But Bahrain is the original destination, or the original base for crypto in the Middle East. But you will find ways. Have a look at Dubai. Have a look at Dubai, because whether you're buying something, whether you're just simply coming in to cash out, it is the most crypto-friendly jurisdiction in the region. And just DM me in the Discord if you need more advice there. Before the Trump election, said worst president for crypto. Everyone disagreed. He's a nutter. Tariffs, invasions, forget crypto. The world is mad right now. You are not out of place, bro, in saying that. But I just do believe there's method to the madness. I think at some point things will play out. Their incentive mechanism is absolutely genius. It's definitely incredible, especially when you start to benchmark against other AI large language learning models. Facts, bro. Yeah, definitely check it out, because you only get the best to solve problems. Big facts. Jenny's in the building. What's going on, my sister? Hope you are doing well. Hope you and your wonderful family are doing well. Bitcoin is actually making a little bit of a surge. I haven't seen any news that has come in, but if you look at the last few minutes, this is what we've done. Nice. 63 to 66 in 66,500 now, still running strong. Because there's a lot of shorts that came in today anyway, in the past few days. Let's see what's going on here. Boom. Pretty decent 30 minutes. Trying to see where we get a sell signal. Cool. So yeah, 66, 400, 500, whatever. But I think all the way to 70 or testing at least 68, 69 could be a possibility. Bro said on Bybit and Mexi, Sui went to, okay, on the Mexi chart, because I do have the Mexi spot chart, not the futures one. And this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. October. We're looking at the daily. Sorry, this is the market cap. This is the Mexi spot chart. Yeah, so we wicked here. So you're probably looking at the futures chart there. There's our October chart here. No, that's not even the October chart on the Mexi. October 2nd, no. Yeah, so they didn't have that same volatility here on the Mexi chart. Don't really see 57 cents there at all. But yeah, let Bitcoin have a bit of a breather. That's a $3,000 move in a highly, highly volatile weekend. Exchanges are incredibly busy right now, doing the most. they are running with it. See, the low came in today at 63, and not the low for the anything, but it dropped down to 63,000, 11 o'clock my time this morning. Sorry, 6 a.m., just as the strikes were happening. And then since then, it's been on a nice little tear. I want a DCA, XDC, but the price won't go down. It is highly stubborn. Have you noticed, Algorand, XDC, and, well, I want to say XRP, XDC, this is now at a market cap. So the market cap is decent, right? And we had that astronomical pump back in fact, October 2024. That's the election rally there, came down. And then, of course, June rallied up as well. And if it came down, I mean, it does have a good horizontal support. That looks like a decent trend line. But yeah, I think sub 500 million would be probably the start of a really interesting plan to potentially buy this. Sorry, I'm not even sharing the. I'm not even sharing this. John, what's good, my brother? Hope you're well. I'm doing very well. Regis AI is looking straight. Yeah, it doesn't really. It's not on any exchanges, right? The subnet tokens tend to hold very well because they are. Yeah, see, it's on. You can only buy this directly with Potential, and what I've noticed is $34 million in terms of market cap, but insanely strong. I mean, if you look at the chart, dipped here. I think that February 12, $4, and it's doubled that. It's made a 100% move in a short space of time. So. Yeah, very good performance. But I have seen subnet tokens that don't really care about the market, and the market cap is identical to the price chart. Really, it just shows you that less manipulation is insane. But this is Regis AI is an important project to look into. I'm glad you've got your. I'm following them, but I'm glad you've got your eyes on Regis AI. AI software engineers that fully replace human coders 0 to 1. This is a pretty, again, there's good alpha. It's amazing what you can do in a bear market, right? You're obviously you're going to do proper alpha, and you are going to research a lot of these projects. I'd just encourage anyone to just check it out. I mean, if you're at and about listening to podcasts or whatever, take a look, do some research. Why would this be a potential AI subnet that you might want to be interested in, or is it completely away from the direction you want to go? Again, you don't want to have to. If you've got Tau, you don't really need to. You don't really need to go into too many coins. And here, look, it's benchmarking AI agents. There's plenty to get stuck with. You can check it out as well on this. tau.app/subnets, which is a pretty good application. So software engineers solution, Regis AI agents that solve the software problems. Now, somebody would argue now we've got Claude Code and Claude Bot and all of these things, but where's the benefit in terms of the price and problem solving ability for this to gain a lot more in terms of value over time? Because we are here to make the money, and as the layer one, and this is one of the reasons why I think Bitensor Tau will definitely kind of outperform a lot of big caps that we see today. Should easily be $100 billion valuation. Bitcoin halving style and so forth and so forth. But with anything in life, obviously there's risks. And everything I tell you is the same as I research for myself. So you've got the extra legwork to do for building conviction. Currently, I don't hold this, and but also you have to remember a lot of cryptocurrencies will also get absolutely slammed by AI. Like, I remember, I think Superman used to do a lot of AI image generation cryptocurrencies, right? So, yeah, you got to be careful there. You got Gemini integrated into Nano Banana, which is going to spit out crazy imaging requirements. You've got the ability to use things like Cursor or there's another one that I forget, but it builds website in a click. So you will start seeing a lot of the fake projects come back in and become more and more, claiming wildly outlandish claims about AI agents. So you got to be super careful, because those agents will also, some of them will perform like meme coins. Yes. So, yeah, thanks for that. I'm doing well, John. And of course, yeah, I appreciate your concerns there. I am doing very well. Last streams you were saying XPL team holds 65 of the supply. Is XPL trash? Would you still consider it? I mean, I was doing the tokenomics analysis, right? Like, I don't think, I never said it's trash. I think it's a decent project. I was just talking about in terms of inflation and potentially just kind of maybe just making sure that you are aware exactly what's going on with in terms of the overall direction of the project. Okay, so XPL, which is a favorite. I mean, a lot of people ask me about this one. And if you look at today, I mean, Plasma is up 5%. Few projects are moving in the last few minutes. Bitcoin is up 2.2%. So don't really pay attention to what's going on in a weekend like this, where they will manipulate the prices. But the schedule unlock, right? So if we look at the schedule unlock, I think there's an unlock that is going to be, that was done February 25th. 4.9, nearly 5% of its market cap got released into the market. As long as you're prepared for stuff like that. But so the positives, and like I said, you've got to, these are dangerous markets, right? You hear something from someone, you trust them, doesn't work out, you think shit. But ultimately, you've got to do some conviction building in a bear market. The good things are, right? So beautiful website, stable coins, of course, very much in terms of the zero transaction fees. That already brings out a question, how do you make the money? Because in a bear market, you'd buy crypto on the basis of their development. In terms of their economics, are they creating money? Are they profitable? Are they generating revenue? And then, of course, you've got to look at the team development and anything else that sets it apart. So the unique selling point here is the Clarity Act, but you already know there's a question there because USDT transfers are zero. So my natural question would be, well, how do they generate revenue, right? Because that's a pretty big question to ask. So from a currency standpoint, from countries, payment methods, it has all of that, and it's got very good, it's got good VCs. Although, to be honest, I always put Bitfinex and Arthur Hayes as questionable, in my opinion. I think they are Sometimes they're slightly bit more, but it depends how much they hold. So let's look at this from a face value. So XPL native, it's the native token of Plasma. Then you've got to say to yourself, okay, it's a layer one, check. It is the main native token. It is specifically designed for stablecoin payments and applications. It's very fast, or relatively fast. Zero transfer fees of stablecoins, and it's EVM compatible. Check, 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 check. Okay, these are all things that it does. Token itself, main purpose, network security, amongst other things. Because I did a little bit more research since our last. I was actually going to make a video on it. Then I got, missiles started chasing me, man. And I did have a comparison project as well. So security, okay, we've seen that it's going to be through staking, governance, of course, validator rewards, gas fees. So that's how they generate money, and non-stablecoin transactions. So that's how they generate money. And when I was saying, you've got to ask yourself always questions, whatever you buy into, is it worth it on the basis of what's advertised versus how they make money? So they make money through transaction fees, particularly non-stablecoin transaction fees. And that's their bread and butter. Okay. So they're obviously EVM compatible. The main use case would be to use this, institutions kind of adopt it to use it as a stablecoin transfer platform. But there is digital money if you look at this. So let's go to their dashboard, see what the metrics are saying. So right now it has rewards. Who's depositing into this? You've got total deposits, of course, I don't have any. And then they've got basis trade vault, capture the enhanced yield. So they're going to be paying out yield with the Plasma token. Okay. Now, the Clarity Act, of course, would be good for projects that specifically cater to stablecoins. And we know March the 2nd, was it? Or March the 1st? I forgot. March the 2nd, I assume. I've already put something in the Discord, but sometime in early March, there's going to be a kind of decision on these, on the Clarity Act. So it does really benefit from that. But in terms of becoming commodity, obviously, does it score the right level of decentralization? But the winner here is it's going to give you a stablecoin focus layer one blockchain. That's how they market themselves. Competitors will be things like Aptos, of course, Sui, bigger Solana. There's a stiff competition there by big layer ones with ETFs that have stablecoin infrastructure built into them. Stuff like Adera, RWA, cross-border. But as a low market cap, $200 million layer one with inflation, I think it's a very good promising start, in my opinion. Like I said, I don't own any. March the 1st deadline for stablecoins related companies. Of course, that's going to be key. And the market is kind of now putting odds of around 70 to 80% that the Clarity Act passes by mid-year. So XPL and Plasma would likely to be positively impacted by any kind of positive outcome of this by mid-year. So that's good for it. What else was I going to talk about? Is it going to be classified as a commodity? I think we still are in the gray zone of what becomes a commodity. We have some benchmarks in terms of how that works, and that is it's got to be decentralized enough to be able to and have decent circulation to become a commodity. So overall, positive so far. Vulnerabilities: 1, tokenomics; 2, stablecoin yield restrictions remain. You have to remember that. And then, so that will take care of the regulation side of things. Now, you've got to already remember Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Ripple or XRP, Chainlink, HBAR, Litecoin, and then USDC, Tether. All of those are considered as a commodity in the main. So it's a fascinating, in my opinion, it's a fascinating project. However, just keep asking yourselves the question: is it at a mature market cap? Probably not. Risk to reward, the chart is fairly low. And is it in the right niche for the next generation of layer ones? Yes, because it's specifically talking about stable coins, or specifically in the stablecoin narrative. So does it have any other competitors? Now, XPL, if you remember, there was another coin which had a very short abbreviation. What was the name of it? It was, what's the name of it? I forgot the name of it, but there was a competitor for this, but at a much lower market cap, very, very risky. So all in all, it's a positive in terms of this, but I would be very careful in terms of the overall inflationary aspect of it. Okay. But because the chart is looking like this and the market cap is looking like this, right? The market cap chart here, it went up to, I think at launch, this came out at $3 billion and has lost almost all of its value. So that's something for you to think about. Again, and when I say 65%, I think I need to just go back to this: 40% ecosystem, 25% team. So ecosystem and growth, I consider that still to be part of the part of this. That's a lot of dry powder for this team to be able to fund this project, but at the expense of what? Look at the Ondo Ondo holders concentration. It is absolute madness. Wow. Rest of the Ondo 10 fat wallets. Yeah, there's specific team wallets as well. Do you still believe in Arweave? I actually sent them a message the other day to say, are you still here? What's happening? So I do. Now, is Arweave going to be, and I did actually take some measures to kind of diversify myself with the storage narrative, because I've started to get into Walrus just as a bet on Sui. But they are building. They are there. They're still pushing AO. And the volume is at 26 million, right? With a $100 million market cap, fully diluted. So I'm very much on board here. There's nothing for me to suggest that they are going anywhere anytime soon. And this is the market cap and this is the price chart. So historical lows, I mean, you've got to go back all the way to 2020 to find a better price for this. Now, in my opinion, it's one of those projects, right? The marketing is terrible. So if you look at their marketing, and he did actually say that himself. Now, PermaWeb is also something that's coming to Walrus. And that's why I bought a small bag of Walrus the other day. Only because I wanted to make sure that I can get maybe the best two or whatever in this niche. And I think, are we fully diluted, been here forever? Every time they say it's going to die, it doesn't die. It still comes back, bull market after bull market, even though the last one was terrible. But if you look at this, I would say, look, there is inflation here. The trading volume on all the SUI ecosystem is very, very low. And there is, of course, inflation that you need to be aware of. But the reason I was betting on this is how close they are to Mr. Labs, and in particularly to their AI agents tech stack. And so all developers, I mean, in the SUI ecosystem, utilize their storage. They're starting to, actually, they called it something else, but they call it the blockchain, what do they call it? Blockchain record instead of perma web. But I wouldn't write this off, because I just think this was the second biggest project after SUI, or the biggest project after SUI, right? And SUI ain't going away, in my opinion. And they are putting a lot of money into stuff like Walrus. So I read between the lines. Right now, you can get 10,000 tokens for nothing. So start DCAing a little bit here and there. And I'm betting that this also runs very well. So your question specifically based on Arweave. Arweave has a better volume than, for example, Walrus. Arweave has been around forever, but right now it's kind of dormant. It's silent. No one's watching it, and it hasn't pumped in over 4 years. So yes, I'll keep my Arweave back, but in order to de-risk, I'll also introduce Walrus into my portfolio strategy. Maybe just trade as SUI's taking off. That could be a very good strategy. But when you actually look into these, they're a decent outfit. And especially if you're like me, who just thinks that SUI is going to produce some crazy gains, or SUI is going to have a decent run. This tech is right in there. So yeah, so they're talking about AI agents, computational power, and of course, storage. So kind of interesting times for stuff like this that was launched at a very high valuation. Then it goes for the entire SUI ecosystem, right? Not just this. So yeah, I'm still in there, barely hanging on. The Aptos dump was absolutely brutal. And I think for the first time, I honestly saw below $1, right? It has no major catalyst, except where they've been moving into has largely been into that stablecoin market. So right now, considered by many as dead and gone. And you have no reason to actually feel, sorry, let me go Aptos network. You have pretty much no reason to be bullish here, except, I mean, I used to love trading this. But I think the stuff they've done with stablecoins, where is the, sorry, Aptos should be here. Right, so there is a tokenomics update, moving to performance-driven supply mechanism. I mean, okay, they are there. I don't really pay attention to these active accounts and daily users. I think when you do on-chain scrutiny, they could vary wildly. But I would say, I mean, the only thing Aptos can do is to have an ETF and to obviously work on their payments, stable coins, and that would seem to make this a very important swing trade, in my opinion. I've made loads of money just trading Aptos in a defined range before the last crash. So now that it's considered to be a relatively at the bottom, we just need to wait and see what the further developments they do. My RW play is Peak. Peak tokenomics unlocks are horrible. They are in a bear market. I think this is where you probably need to watch maybe developments, because I got into the pre-sale, and after the pre-sale sold, and then peak kind of got kind of eaten up by the unlocks. $28 million market cap now, and what's the volume saying? I mean, that tells you all you need to know about the situation here. It's moving like a meme coin right now. 24-hour trading volume at 1.1 million from a significant launch. I mean, this came out from token something. I forgot the platform. But yeah, it's probably well worth watching. But right now, it is a bear market. Absolutely one-sided, total darkness. 1 cent. Let's see how they recover. You're welcome, my brother. I owe you all the explanation in the world, man. Who met the team? I know a Dutch friend who met the team and still believe in peak. Are they Dutch or German? Which is pretty impressive. I mean, perhaps we can invite them for an AMA. You're welcome. You're welcome, Jenny. What rose to 3 cent possible? Ooh, 10x. Could do a safe 10x. Listen, it's a bet on Sui. I think that's the only way to look at it. Once Sui starts running, I think the entire ecosystem will super flourish, in my opinion. 66,700 Bitcoin is absolutely pumping, guys. You know, that is a nice little $6,000 move in a day. And I think it continues because of the stack of liquidity above. What's the 4-hour saying? Still expanding. Yeah, $67,000. Wow. Go on, Bitcoin. See what you do here. 5% for retail. Plan to buy 100K coins. Thank God. Look at Shoots as well. Yeah, Shoots is mad. They're cheaper and more utilized version of Filecoin. I'll definitely check that. Is there any market news that we're missing out, guys? Because Bitcoin. What's going on here? Lowest level since 2024. What's this? That's nothing. Nothing major. I can't see any significant news out here. I will definitely look at Shoots, bro, and 10 of the biggest wallets. Boom, guys, absolutely smash a like. Yeah, it is in the deep in narrative. Unless they pivoted, I haven't seen that for a while. But please follow me, like me, subscribe to the channel, share the content. I'm gonna go. Love you and leave you. We've done an hour. We've done nearly 2 hours, guys. So have a wonderful evening, and hopefully I will do another live stream in a more peaceful time. God bless you all, guys. Have a wonderful night. And for those of you obviously in the region, stay safe. Good night, guys.